Cecil. Isma. Amro. Momini. Larson. Pursley. Schneider. And let's go back to Trotter. With that, we do have quorum for the evening. So we'll now move into the Pledge of Allegiance led by Speaker Cecil. And so with that, we'll move into this evening's Senate program, the Dean of Students Portfolio Name Change.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to pass these out if that's okay. And just give it a second for all of that to get around. You know what? Let me take half of those. Okay, let me start over. Hello, everyone. You can say hello. My name is Sharon Evans, and I serve as the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students here at Iowa State. And let me first say thank you to Jennifer for getting me on the program. And I'm here to request your help. So I am starting an effort to change the name of the Dean of Students portfolio. So let me explain this very quickly and summatively. That doesn't mean changing my title. You will still have a Dean of Students. I have a portfolio of 14 departments and 3 programs. And, but I also serve as Dean of Students. And this is the reason for the dual title, Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. So Student Affairs is the division, which is led by Dr. Younger. I'm sure you all are aware of her. I am one of 3 portfolios under that division, and I hope most people know that. So you have my portfolio, which is the Dean of Students. You have Health and Wellness, which is rec services, counseling, TLIN, and I'm forgetting someone, wellness, right? Then you have the Campus Life portfolio, which is dining, the MU, DOR, okay? So the challenge that I have with calling my portfolio the Dean of Students is that when you hear the Dean of Students term, what do you think? Somebody is in trouble, right? That's usually what happens. Even though that's not all of my job, it is a part of my job. That is not necessarily true when you look at the services and the support that's provided by the 14 departments and 3 programs that report under me. And so what I'm looking for is to change the name of this portfolio, which would mean changing the first part of my title. So Associate Vice President of Campus Life. You know, that person is currently Michael Harwood. Or the Associate Vice President for Wellness. That person is right now Aaron Baldwin. So the question is, what will I be Associate Vice President of? And so what we're trying to do is get feedback from our stakeholders, which includes student government, and a number of other entities that you'll see listed on there, on what that name could possibly be. So what we're looking for is something that is descriptive of the 14 departments and the 3 programs. That's not an easy task, I know. And so this is why we're reaching out to change that and get some feedback on what you think it should be. So if you look on the back of that form that I sent you, and I believe they also have this up on the screen, so it's in your files, there is a QR code to a survey. And I guarantee you it takes all of like 2 minutes because there's like 2 or 3 questions, I think. It's gonna ask you to rate on a Likert scale some names that have already been brainstormed. And it's also gonna ask you to suggest at least 2 names. And so I would like for you all to take the time to do that. It can be today, it can be tomorrow, it can be before the end of the semester, because come summer, we're going to pull all of this data together and work with my team to figure out where we're landing and what direction we're going to go. And so once that name is decided, we are going to do a soft rollout in the fall. So we'll come up with that communication plan so that everyone is aware, not only students, but also our colleagues across campus. And then this will take a while, because if you think about it, this also affects some other things. You know, pre-printed marketing materials for all of the departments, our technology, when you think about how our websites are built, all of my departments fall under that Dean of Students tree in reference to the address. And so all of that will have to be changed, and some things in the financial system as well. So I anticipate this taking probably the full academic year to really get everything set, but I am committed to seeing this process through. So let me stop there, and let me ask if anyone has any questions.
So if that, the floor is open for questions, starting with Senator Janes.
First, I want to start with saying thank you so much for coming over here, and it's great to kind of know more about what the Dean of Students are doing beyond, you know, making sure we're following the rules, right?
Yeah.
I guess my question is just to confirm. I think I got a little confused. We'll just try to rename the branching name Dean of Students Office, not the specific 14 other departments, right? Or is all of these names getting under consideration?
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to repeat that.
So what is getting renamed? Is it just the overarching Dean of Students Office, or is it all of the 14 departments?
Okay, so this is going to sound a little bit confusing. So there is an office of the Dean of Students. I reside over in Student Services Building. I have central administration that supports me. The Dean of Students is also the umbrella name that all of those 14 departments report under. They all report up to me. What I'm changing is just the umbrella name, not my name as a Dean of Students, nor will the Dean of Students office go away.
Yeah. But you're also not going to be renaming, this is also not renaming, just to confirm, the 14 departments?
No, all of those departments keep their names. They are individual, independent departments. It's just a reporting structure.
Yeah. And I know you went over briefly kind of a general timeline, thinking of spring 2024 being when you get opinions from students. And then you see it as it taking a whole year to focus on like getting from the technical to the prints for the next academic year of 2024 to 2025.
Yeah, so the feedback I want to receive, I intend to gather all of that by the end of the semester. So you're my first stop, but not my last stop. I'll also be visiting, hopefully, GPSS, IRHA. There's a number of advisory boards that report under some of my colleagues that I will visit as well. And we will be asking the feedback from our entire division of student affairs. So that includes all three portfolios, campus life, wellness, as well as the Dean of Students departments. And so the summer is going to use to come up with a marketing program to roll the new name out. So we're going to choose a new name over the summer. The academic year, FY25, is going to be used to continue that rollout, but make some of those technical changes behind the scenes that go along with the name change.
Absolutely. I guess my next question is, do you kind of see that this might conflict with the other major change students are going through right now of moving to worksite? Obviously, they're not too connected, but trying to push two major changes, do you think that might lead to some conflicts or some confusion with seeing that?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad you asked. So in reference to Student Workday, no, I don't, because I'll explain why. And we've had this conversation when we started going down this path. The reality is that students don't necessarily look at our portfolios by portfolio, right? They don't want to know, okay, so what's the 14 departments under the Dean of Students? They really just want to know, what department do I need to go to get X done, right? But we do have student leaders such as yourself, and I had this conversation with some of our new orientation leaders as well as departments across campus, where this structure becomes important when you are doing the work for your student body or when they're doing the work for their department to understand where things lie and what the reporting structure is. It's really almost a very internal thing, not so much forward-facing with students. So I don't think that, number one, that's not how we're going to market it. And so I don't think that that's going to impact the transition to student workday.
Yeah. And then my last question is, on that survey, you say that it would be like a scale with different names. Is there any option for if students are interested? I think there's another name that wasn't selected.
Yes, I said you have 2 slots to suggest 2 names. Yes, that's going to be the last question.
Yeah.
Yep. The Likert scale is first, and then there's going to be 2 fields where you can suggest 2 names.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming.
You're welcome.
Senator Azan.
First of all, thank you so much for coming. I have 2 questions.
Yes.
The first question is about your suggestions, or maybe what do you think? What's your thought process? What names suits best? The second question I have is about the finance aspect of this, because you mentioned about reprinting all the materials, social media update, website update, and all these things, right? And it will require a lot of financial resources to make it happen. So I'm just curious about the major concern and issue right now in terms of like the current name, the umbrella. What is like the major issue in terms of like students are like struggling to figure out like all these departments that fall under this umbrella, under this portfolio? What is like the major issue?
The major,
right?
yeah. So that's both very good questions. Let me start backwards. So one of the things that we found, and actually this is kind of changing the tide of let me say what my predecessor envisioned. I don't think any of you were here when he was here, and not to say that he was wrong, but so the goal back then was that when we do marketing, that could be tabling at an event, orientation somewhere else, you basically have a table or a set of tables, and everything is labeled Dean of Students. So if you can imagine, a student or parent is going to walk up to the table to talk to the Dean of Students, right? So that's another thing that's going to be changing, where we are really allowing these departments to independently market themselves, because there's a lot of diversity in what all 14 departments and 3 programs do. And so to get away from that, in case it is needed with other constituencies, that's where we want to change the name to better align with something that's descriptive of the entire portfolio of services. So I don't see that as a huge issue, because we're moving away from that anyway, but that was one of the glaring issues that came up since I've been here 4 years ago. Why are we tabling with a Dean of Students tablecloth when we're talking about sorority and fraternity engagement, when we're talking about international students, when we're talking about our SLOSS Center for Women and Gender Equity, that kind of thing. So there's going to be a shift in how we do things. Concerning the financial part, my staff has already been told, which is